Hey guys, what's going on? It's Filmington. In this video, hopefully a little bit more positive than negative, or at least constructive. This one's going to be pretty short. Just wanted to share some tips or hacks for buying on eBay. I know a lot of you guys have really cooled down your spending on eBay, and for a lot of you, you might not shop on eBay much at all with sales tax and eBay authentication programs, and I completely get it. And there's a lot more platforms out there to choose from. But having said that, eBay still is very core to the hobby with regards to being a very popular marketplace. And some of these tips are ones that I didn't pick up on right away. So for some of you, I'm hoping that, maybe you learn a thing or two. I think I've got 6 total tips to share. Maybe some of these you're already using, but some you are not. So these aren't going to be like the standard novice. Make sure you enroll in eBay Bucks, which I'm sure every single eBay video that's been done before with regards to buying tips for baseball cards has included. But here we go. Tip number 1, don't buy raw cards from consignment shops. So, the big ones used to be Probstein and PWCC, now Probstein, DC Sports 87, and PC Sports Cards, and there's a number of other ones as well. I could list probably another 10 to 15. Most of them will have the word consignment in the username, or if you click on the listing, you'll be able to tell, because they'll be marketing, send cards to us, consign your cards through us. Contact us for a rate card if the rate card's not already in the description of each of their listings. So, these companies are great to use for selling, but the issue with these guys, and it's not just the big ones that you have to worry about, like Probstein and PC Sports Cards is up there now with total volume, but you're going to get more savvy people that are using these shops as a means to sell cards, because for a lot of people, they've got large volumes of stuff that they're selling. They've got big businesses, and you're dealing with generally a more savvy individual that owns that card that's being consigned through them, a person that probably has a good eye for grading, a person that understands the trade-offs and the compromises and opportunity cost of tying up capital, and kind of like, break-even points with regards to grading. And if I hit a 10, I'll be able to 3x my money versus getting a 9, and I'll be able to still get this much. So basically, when you're buying raw cards from these consignment shops, and I've realized this through experience, is you're more likely to get a card that might grade out like a BGS 9 or a PSA 8. You're going to get a lot of PSA 9s too, but very rarely will you get a card that will gem with any grading company. So next up is when you send an offer to someone, check for the competing offers. So the way I have it set up is I get an email whenever I send an offer. It's probably a standard notification that you get as a buyer, where it says, you sent an offer of this, assuming that it doesn't get auto rejected. It'll say if there are any competing offers. That means that there's other people that are also competing for that item, and there's live offers, whether they're to the seller or the seller has responded and they're back to the buyer. I think those are all counted as competing offers. So if this is a new listing, this is where this plays. If this is a new listing and the guy's got 5 or 6 competing offers and it's only been up for a few hours, and you can tell based on clicking on the listing that it's getting a lot of hits, there's a good chance, unless the guy set his auto reject price too low, there's a good chance that this item is priced very fairly and that it won't be around for much longer. Again, this is for newer listings. If this listing's been available for 6, 7 days, 2, 3 weeks, it's probably just their auto reject price is set a little low, and they're just taking in a whole bunch of offers, and it's kind of inefficient for them, but whatever, it's just what they've opted to do. So for new listings, and for those that have been up for maybe 2 or 3 hours, you want to be looking at listings in the morning. Maybe your saved searches can kind of indicate this, and you send them an offer and your email comes back and it says there are 5 competing offers. This has happened to me where I didn't check the number of competing offers, and my offer was at, I think, 90% of listing price, and I just let it sit, and I was kind of banking on them to return, with a counter. But, sure enough, they accepted an offer that was like 95% of asking. So whichever one of those 5 was the highest, they probably just accepted. All right, number 3, buy. So this is kind of the opposite of, don't buy rock cards from consignment shops. Don't be afraid of buying cards from sketchy accounts. If it's a blatant scam, then yeah, okay. If somebody's eBay account's been hacked, that's been happening a lot lately, where you see this one random account that all of a sudden has all the cards that you've been watching for the last few weeks all at once. There's a good chance that account's been hacked. There's sometimes it's blatantly obvious when you've got an account with between 1 to 50 feedback that's selling something blatantly under market value, that yes, it's indeed a scam, and you'll probably be able to get your money back, but why even tie up your cash at that point? So a little bit of a balancing act there. But if there's a 3 or 4 feedback account and they've listed something at 99 cents and they have it run, maybe 7-day auction, don't avoid those accounts. Don't avoid pictures that are bad, because that's often when you get good deals. And now there's 2 layers of protection as a buyer. With eBay, you've got that 13% seller's fee, which is pretty expensive. 13% is roughly around what you're usually paying. Some of that, I would argue, is inherited by the buyer as well. And you could say that, part of what you're paying for is really the security that you're getting, which is 2 layers through eBay based on the dollar amount of the transaction. So you don't just get the eBay authentication program, which of course is facilitated by PSA and CSG, and they're doing slabs and raw cards over a certain dollar value. But you also have eBay buyer protection, right? It's part of what you're paying for is you get that security. You get somewhat of a fair resolution process that will prevent you from getting scammed in most cases. So it's kind of like what the PayPal chargeback process gives you. And the next tip is to seek out auction listings with high starting bids. Roughly 60 to 80% of what you perceive to be the market value, last comp, whatever. A lot of people in today's market, they don't want to get hosed in auctions. Nobody ever wants to get hosed in auctions. Forget about today's environment. It's always been the case. And a lot of people try to post stuff at buy it now for as long as possible until they really need that cash flow. And they're like, all right, I got to sell this thing. And often they'll make a mistake. What you should do is you should really list it at 10% of the total market value of that item. I would say is best practice, no more than 20%. You can even make the case for 99 cents or $9.99 for something that's like high value, that's gonna go for over 1,000, because you want the most amount of eyes and hits as possible. That's gonna bump you up in the algorithm. You want a lot of people to just not just click on the listing, but also watch it. A lot of people will give up if the starting bid is a little high. If it's more than 50% of the worth of the item, maybe they're just looking for steals, so they won't even watch it. They won't even click on it. Maybe they'll just think like, I'll just follow a few other listings instead. This probably won't work out. But that's a mistake. As a buyer, because there are going to be fewer eyes on those listings that have high starting bids, you should actually zone in on those. You should actually prioritize those. And, I usually recommend the sniping. That's not going to be covered today, but that's kind of like a novice tip. But if you're using a sniping app, maybe for these listings, you should actually bid a day before, or maybe 6-7 hours before the listing expires. That way the seller isn't as easily able to kind of pull the listing. It's kind of frowned down upon if you have at least one bid for the seller to kind of pull that listing and kind of delete it. So often what I find is if something's listed with a higher starting bid, then the items actually go for less than what they would have if they had been started out at like a 99 cent kind of 7-day auction, or $9.99. So that is tip number 4. Tip number 5 is searches, guys. So there's different searches that you can do to seek out suboptimal listing titles. So for sealed wax, the word sealed, that's a big one. That's going to be my standard searches, but often I'll do, so you can do a negative search where you put in I'm sure you guys know this, but kind of like in Google, if you want the search results to ignore specific words. Then you can do a minus sign, and then you can put the word sealed. And then you'll find people that forgot to put the word sealed, which is in probably 90% at least of sealed wax listings. And again, it's in my standard search. But if you do the negative sealed, then you'll see DA Card World. They don't put sealed. And then a lot of other people don't either. And then sometimes you can get a deal on something where, just not a lot of people found it in their standard searches. Another example of that could be the sport, and also the acronym versus the full sport name. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for singles, people don't usually list the sport. But for wax, what they'll do is for baseball wax, they'll put the word baseball in the description, or they should. If they don't, it's an opportunity for you to maybe get something for below market value. Again, a suboptimal title. With football wax, they'll write out football. For basketball wax, though, they'll actually write out NBA, I believe, instead of basketball. So these are types of things that you can look for. Understand how people usually list something and kind of derivations of that or deviations away from the norm, and where you can seek out maybe things that just don't get enough eyes because the title wasn't optimized. And it's not just wax, it could be singles too. So for baseball, Bowman Chrome Blue Refractor / numbered out of 150. Most people would put that in their listing title. Some people will forget to put refractor. They'll just put blue and then /150 or numbered to 150. Gold parallels out of Topps Flagship. They might not put, I actually just listed something this way by accident. Alex Bregman, 2017 Series 1 Gold Parallel. I forgot to put parallel in the name. Black parallel. There's just certain things that are harder to find, like a black parallel from Topps Flagship. It's hard for me to target that type of listing, and because of that, you'll often find listings that just don't have the right words to draw the appropriate amount of attention to them. Maybe if somebody doesn't put RC and they just put rookie in the listing title, RC is the standard way to list something, so it's another way you can find something. Or maybe they just don't put RC or rookie at all. Misspellings is another one. So especially the names that are difficult to spell. What are some examples of that? Maybe like Tua Tagovailoa. You've got a lot of basketball players, probably Giannis Antetokounmpo, Shaquille O'Neal, like O'Neal Cruz. You can spell O'Neal many different ways, and maybe there's a way for you to put like 4 or 5 different types based on, apostrophe or no apostrophe. So there's all of that, the suboptimal titles that you can take advantage of. And the last one, and this is my favorite tip, and I hope this video, secretly, I hope it doesn't get a lot of views, because it would be terrible if I could no longer take advantage of this. But eBay Bucks, we talked about it a little bit at the outset, about how it's kind of like a standard type of service to subscribe to, and how most of you guys should know about that. If you don't, I'll try to put a link in the description. This is a way to get free money back from eBay purchases, and they've changed the rules with eBay Bucks over the last year and a half. Now there are only promotional periods where you can gain these things. It used to be a standard part of buying something, you'd get 1% back. Now there's usually windows where you can get 5% back in eBay credit based on whatever you buy in that window from eBay. It has to be usually there's certain categories. Baseball cards is usually part of the targeted promotions that I get. So here's the thing. So these are targeted. If you buy a lot on eBay like I do, then you're not going to get a whole lot of eBay Bucks promotions at all. Your friends might be telling you, oh, I got 5% eBay Bucks, check your inbox. And I'll be like, what the heck? I didn't get one. What's going on? Well, it's all based on volume of spending. So what they're doing is they're incentivizing dormant accounts or people that don't buy a whole lot with this promotion to bring you back to eBay to buy stuff. So it can become part of your daily routine, going into the app and checking deals, whatever. So what you can do to take advantage of this, if you're like me, you buy a lot, you don't get a whole lot of eBay Bucks promotions, even though you are enrolled in eBay Bucks, you can set up, it takes a second to set up a second buying account. And your second account will be able to get each quarter up to $500. So if you max that out, that's $2,000 a year of free money. Again, you have to be spending money on this, and it's going to take on average probably $10,000. 5% of 10,000 is $500 within that quarter to be able to get that promotion, and you've got to spend that $10,000 kind of within that window, which could be, it's usually 3 days. But, it's free money and I've been taking advantage of it. And I've been setting up the second account to do that. And you can link that second account to the same shipping address and you can use the same bank account. So it's not like they seek this out. At this point in time, at least, they're not trying to cut off the people that are exploiting this advantage. All right, guys, that's it. Let me know if you guys have any other special tips below. If you learned something, let me know. If these are all like super obvious, let me know as well. Just trying to provide some value, trying to be constructive. There's going to be some videos that are going to be coming out soon that, it's just the state of the world, right? I like to focus on market commentary, and if there's new developments which are more negative than they were the last week, then I have to focus on them. But what the hell are you doing over there, man?
I got this chicken bomb from AJ's and they only gave me one napkin. Can you believe that?
Dude, those are my cards.
Calm down, Filmington. It's just Beckett slabs.
Hold on, Filmington. You forgot about the most important tip of all. You used to be able to set an offer for a specific duration, whether it be 12 hours or 24 hours, what have you. Now, I'm not sure if eBay still allows you to do that, but you can always retract an offer. So if you don't feel good about the offer anymore, or maybe you had one already accepted for a similar item, you can actually retract it really easily. Isn't that a little shady though? Nope, not sketchy at all. Actually, I watched a video on YouTube on contract law. And if the original party that sends the offer decides later to rescind the offer, as long as it hasn't been accepted yet, then there is no contractual obligation to follow through with the offer. It can be difficult to find, so what I usually do, I find it easier to put in Google search eBay best offer cancellation form. It's one of the top results. You click on the link, and then there is where you copy and paste the item ID, and bang, your offer's gone.